Good morning, boys and girls. This is Jath, and I am Demetrius. We really learned a lot from Daphne and Nicole about Native Americans. They read the story Native Americans and Lakota Sioux and the Buffalo. Today, you will be learning about the nomadic lifestyle of Lakota Sioux and the clothing and shelter of Lakota Sioux.
Sounds like we will be learning a lot of interesting things during this lesson today. Actually, what does the word nomad mean?
Well, Jath, a nomad is a person who has no permanent home and travels from place to place.
Oh, just like Mapia and her family in today's story.
Yes, Jath, you are correct. Do you know where the Sioux live today?
Yes, I do. Today, most members of the Sioux Nation live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Canada.
That's a lot of great information, Jath. Now we're going to read the story, Where is Winona?
Winona? You mean like the town in Mississippi?
Yes, Jath, that is actually a town in Mississippi called Winona in Montgomery County. The name of the city comes from the Sioux word Winona, meaning firstborn daughter.
That's really cool. Are there any other words that the students need to know for this read aloud?
Yes, there actually are.
You know what we should do? Let's match the definition to the words for the students.
Okay, so our first definition is the head or ruler of a tribe or clan. So, that's the word chief.
An example of chief in a sentence is, the chief was shown much respect in Native American tribes.
Our next definition is the behavior that can be annoying or against the rules. So that's mischief.
And an example of mischief in a sentence is, Tashna was always getting into mischief by playing jokes on her friends.
Next, we have the definition of a bag made from untamed and hairless animal hides. So that's Parflash.
And an example of Parflash in a sentence is, the women each made a Parflash to hold their belongings on the trip north.
And Jath, our last word is a type of sled consisting of a frame slung between two poles and pulled back by a dog or horse. So that's travois.
Do you have an example of travois in a sentence? I can't think of anything.
Sure, Jath. The Lakota Sioux family piled all their belongings onto a travois when they moved to the summer camp.
Wow, those were a lot of great words we front-loaded. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to read.
Yes, Jath. All right, students. When Jath reads Where's Winona, make sure you listen for the answers to the following two questions. What kind of clothes did Mapia and her family wear? What type of house do they live in?
All right, so now I am going to read you the story about Mapia. Where's Winona? This is Mapia, a Lakota Sioux girl. Why do you think she looks so happy? Every year, Mapia looks forward to moving with her family to their summer camp. After several days of traveling from their winter camp, they have finally arrived at Mapia's favorite place. They have moved here to hunt buffalo. While the men hunt for buffalo, Mapia and her family will live in this special spot with other Lakota Sioux families until the days shorten, signaling fall. This is Mapia's family. Her mother, her father, her grandmother, her little sister, Tashna, and her baby brother, Shathan. Do you see anything in the picture that is made from buffalo skins? Yes, their clothes and moccasins are made of buffalo skins. And their teepees, or houses, are made from the buffalo too. Think how easy it would be to carry your house with you if you lived in a teepee. Teepees are easily taken apart and put back together again. Look closely at the picture. Do you see the two poles near the horse's head? The frame is connected to the poles behind the horses, forming a travois, which is a type of sled used to pull the family's teepee and other belongings. Mapia's mother is the one who always packs and unpacks the teepee and belongings. Before leaving the winter camp, Mapia's mother piled their clothing, blankets, and rugs onto the backs of horses. Many things were loaded onto the travois. Even grandmother and Tashna rode on a travois. Shathan traveled in a cradleboard on mother's back. Mapia packed her toys into a parflash, which is a small bag of buffalo hide. She took special care with her doll Winona, wrapping her up in a little fur blanket before putting her into the parflash. Mother made Winona for Mapia. Mother also helped Mapia sew clothes and little beaded moccasins for the doll. Mapia loves Winona very much. The Lakota Sioux are busy setting up their new summer camp. Their teepees form a circle with all the doorways facing in the same direction, east, away from the strong winds that blow across the plains from the west. They are set up in order of the family's importance. Since the chief is the person in charge of the tribe, his teepee is the most important. Mapia's father is a respected hunter and warrior, or fighter, so his family's teepee is placed near the chief's. Mapia's family will raise its teepee beside some cottonwood trees. Mother leans Shathan's cradleboard against a tree trunk in the shade. He is fast asleep. Mapia usually has to watch over little Tashna, but today grandmother will look after her. She will take her over to visit Mapia's aunt because her teepee has been raised already. Mapia is glad to be given a break. Tashna is always getting into mischief. Mother starts raising the teepee frame with its long, thin wooden poles to build the teepee. Mother ties 3 long poles together. Using a long rope, she pulls them upright to form the shape of a triangle. This makes a strong base. Then she adds more poles to the frame, leaning them against the notch formed by the 3 poles at the top. The teepee cover is attached to the last pole. Lifting that pole up at the back of the teepee, Mother leans it onto other poles. Then Mapia helps her pull the cover around the poles, making the walls of the teepee. They join the 2 poles of the cover with pegs, leaving an opening for the doorway under the last peg. During the hot summer months, they will roll the teepee cover up from the bottom to let air in. The smoke hole at the top of the teepee can be opened and closed too, allowing smoke to escape or air to flow in. At last, the teepee is completed. Mapia thinks about her own toy teepee. She wants to set it up for her doll, Winona. Mapia took the toy teepee apart before packing it and will put it together again, just as her mother did with the family's teepee. By copying her mother in her play, Mapia learns how to do things she will have to do when she is a grown-up. Mapia finds the Parflash in which she packed her toys lying open on the ground. She reaches inside and pulls out the soft deerskin teepee. The teepee cover also has little wooden poles. Winona's little fur blanket is there too, but Winona is not inside the blanket. Mapia pulls everything out of the bag. No Winona! Worried, Mapia searches through the other bags, but her doll is not inside any of them. Did Winona fall out of the bag while the family was traveling here? Is the little doll lost in the long grass that covers the plains? So much grass, such a long trip. If Winona fell out along the way, how will Mapia find her? Mapia's father finds her searching for Winona in the long grass. Have you seen my doll? Mapia asks him. No, he answers. I found my Parflash open. Maybe Winona fell out along the way. Don't worry, father says. I was the one who took all the Parflash off of the horses when we got here. None of them were open. Your doll could not have fallen out along the way. Mapia joins her mother, who has made a fire and is starting to cook. Father tightens his bow as Shathan continues to sleep. Mother, have you seen Winona? Asks Mapia. No, says Mother. I haven't seen your doll. Just then, Shathan wakes up and starts to cry. Of all the family, Mapia is the best at getting Shathan to stop crying. She goes over to the tree, makes a silly face, and sticks out her tongue. Shathan stops crying. He laughs and laughs. And that's when Mapia sees them. Two little beaded moccasins poking upside down from the cradle board. She tugs hard. Out come the legs, then the dress, then the arms, and head of Winona. Mapia gives Winona a big hug. Mapia asks, "How did you get in there, silly girl?" At that moment, Tashna toddles over from Auntie's teepee, and Grandmother trying her best to keep up. Tashna sees the doll. "Nona!" she exclaims. She pulls Winona out of Mapia's hand and sticks the doll back inside Shathan's cradle board. Now I know who did it, says Mapia. It was little sister. You are right, Mapia, says Mother. I suppose tomorrow I will have to make Tashna a doll of her own.
That was a great story, Jeff. Now I have some questions for the boys and girls who are listening out there.
Okay, what do you want to ask them?
I would like them to describe the clothes that Mapia and her family wore.
Let's give them a second to answer, though. So what sort of clothes did she wear?
Well, Mapia and her family wore dresses, long pants, and moccasins made of buffalo skin because they travel around a lot.
What kind of homes did they live in since they traveled so far? Boys and girls, think about it for a minute. Think about what kind of home they lived in. Well, if you said teepee, you're correct.
So how do you even set up a teepee, Jeff?
That's a great question, Demetrius. Let's give them a few seconds to answer based off what they heard in the text.
You know, based upon the text, Native Americans set up teepees by tying 3 poles together as a frame, adding more poles and attaching the teepee cover.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of hard work.
It sure does. Who remembers our title of today's Read Aloud? I'll give you a second, boys and girls. Think about it. If you said, "Where is Winona?" you are correct, boys and girls.
Why do you think this is the title of the Read Aloud? Think about it, students.
Well, it is named after Mapia's doll, and when they go to the new location, she couldn't find her. Therefore, the title of the story is Where's Winona?
That makes a lot of sense. And now, boys and girls, we're going to learn a new word. Our word of the day is mischief. Can you say that 3 times with me? Mischief, mischief, mischief.
Mischief means being naughty or getting into harmless trouble. Just like Tashna was always getting into mischief in our read aloud that Jeff read earlier.
That's correct. Now, I remember when I was a kid, sometimes I'd tap my friends on the shoulder that was the opposite side of me and act like I had no idea who did it.
That was quite mischievous, Jeff. Now, let's show the students at home a few examples of mischief. Okay, so we're going to use our T-chart. If we read something that is mischief, we're going to put it here. If we read something that's not mischief, we're going to put it here. All right, we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, our first one. Maya pulled the blanket off the bed that her mother had just made. Boys and girls, think about it. Is that mischief or not mischief?
Well, it was really nice of her mother to make the bed, and it wasn't very nice of Maya to pull the blanket off, so I'd say that's mischief.
I say so too. That wasn't nice. Our next one, boys and girls. Tanya opened the door for her mother. Think about it. Is that mischief or not mischief?
Well, it definitely was nice of her to open the door for her mother. Her mom might have been carrying something, so I'd put that under not mischief.
Great. I think so too. Nice. Our next one. Richard carefully put his toys away neatly. Mischief or not mischief?
Well, they said that Richard put them away neatly, which was a really nice thing to do because it's going to make his room nice and organized. So I'd say that's not mischief.
I think so too. It's always good to clean your room and put things back together. Okay. Our next one. Carl put a fly in his sister's water glass. Would that be mischief or not mischief?
Well, if I was his sister, I wouldn't like that, so I'd say that that is definitely mischief. Very mischievous of Carl.
Yes, because I don't think I would like to have a glass full of water and a fly. And our last one, boys and girls, Angelou poked his sister's back. Would that be mischief or not mischief? Think about it.
That seems like it's mischief to me.
Yes, always trying to play a joke. Awesome.
Great. Great job. That was a great activity to wrap up the lesson. We also learned about what the Sioux wore.
You're right, Jeff. We've learned a lot today about different vocabulary words such as mischief and chief and we heard a great story. Boys and girls, turn to a friend or family member and tell them something you've enjoyed learning today.
All right, I'm sure they enjoyed hearing about it.
I think so too.
Thank you for joining us today. All rights and credits from the lesson belong to Core Knowledge Language Arts. We would like to thank them for publicly sharing these materials.
Use what you learned today. Share some of your knowledge about Native Americans with a family member or a friend. Until next time, bye.